So last week, we told you that the New York Times had confirmed the authenticity of the Hunter Biden laptop. According to the Times, said certain emails between Hunter and his business partner being probed, quote, appear to have come from a laptop abandoned by Mr. Biden in a Delaware repair shop. The email and others in the cache were authenticated by people familiar with them and with the investigation. In response to the news, Republicans are now floating another investigation into Hunter's travel records if they regain control of Congress. Peter Schweitzer commented on the investigation and significance of the New York Times piece on Fox News. Let's watch that.
Is the FBI investigating Hunter Biden, and could that happen while Joe Biden is president?
Yeah, in fact, I think this New York Times piece, the fact that they got cooperation from Team Biden and probably from the Hunter Biden legal team, is an indication to me they are extremely concerned that he is going to be indicted. This grand jury's been meeting since 2018. They were suspended during COVID because of health care protocols. It's back up and running, and it's very clear that when it comes to the issues related to tax evasion and money laundering and the other issues wrapped up with it, they're extremely concerned that Hunter Biden's going to be indicted. And I think this article is an effort to frame that conversation in a way that could be the most favorable to them.
Political journalist Rebecca Azor, an advisor for Renewed Democracy Initiative, and former Republican strategist Rina Shah join us now to discuss. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
And Rina, why do you think that the Times confirming these emails is being treated as such a significant story, given the fact that an entire book already came out confirming that these were legitimate, and even before the election, or at least right around the election, it was not only clear that the emails were legitimate, but if I recall, Breitbart had gotten emails from another Hunter associate and had gotten them, directly from that person with access to the person's Gmail inbox, which given freely, that showed that some of these emails were the same as the ones from Hunter. So it was clear that these were legitimate. Why is it all of a sudden, if it's not in the New York Times, it's not news? Is that what it is?
Well, putting the journalistic stuff aside for a moment and how mainstream media or even smaller media outlets treat this story, I think the biggest thing to note here is that in September of 2020, it was Senator Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley, senators, who debunked this sort of in doing a report and clearing Joe Biden of any wrongdoing that was associated with his son Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings. I think that's really important to know. That's what's been lost in all this. This has been sort of investigated before. This new information that's sort of out, if you ask me, this is all reeking of political motivation, largely because we've got the midterms. Republicans could take back congressional power, and suddenly they'll be able to have some really fun hearings. And Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, if he's reelected, he's excited, as we said in the media. He's used the word juicy. I think not only is that really lame for a U.S. senator to be so excited about doing such gossipy stuff, and by the way, let's also look at the senator's connections to Russia as well. I mean, it's good. It's good to be skeptical. It's good to have elected leaders want to do some investigating. But was Hunter Biden ever a federal employee? Was Hunter Biden, what kind of up to no good was he up to? I don't really know. And I frankly don't care at this point. There are bigger problems in the world.
Well, I mean, he flew on Air Force Two with the vice president to China.
He's his son.
But he went there, and his goal was to connect a potential Chinese business partner with the vice president to get a photo op to get.
Do we really know that?
Yeah.
Has that been
we know.
Absolutely confirmed by coming out of the president's mouth, coming out of Hunter Biden's mouth? This is all speculation.
No,
I mean,
that happened.
It happened, but it's speculation what his intention was. We don't know the intention, just like we didn't know the intention of Kushner and his wife, Ivanka Trump, every time they were traveling with their father as federal government employees, by the way, who supposedly didn't take a salary or God knows what. The children of these elected leaders, we are questioning too much at a time where I think the vast majority of us are fed up. I don't really care what the president's children do, as long as they're not on the payroll of the taxpayer doing illegal things. Hunter Biden's never been on the payroll of the American taxpayer. That's just the reality of this. So we can speculate all we want. We can let the Republicans or even Democrats go down the road of investigating. But what's it really mean for the long term for our country? Are we going to throw Hunter Biden in jail? That's not good for democracy, to jail the kids of presidents or vice presidents simply because they're like, hey, my dad's in a position of power. Joe Biden in September 2020 by 2 Republican senators was cleared of wrongdoing. I think that's important to focus on. What they rehash after, if the Republicans take power in Congress, is going to be a whole nother ballgame.
Well, look, I get that. I don't, and in a vacuum, I don't really care what Hunter Biden's up to either. But, why this story matters is because of how it was treated, right, by the media, by the intelligence community, the way you were demonized, stigmatized for not immediately dismissing it, when it's being labeled Russian disinformation. So the story blew up on Twitter. This exchange between Trump and Biden back on the debate stage made the rounds on social media.
Ask some follow-up. Please respond, and then we're going to have follow-up questions.
If this stuff is true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries, Iraq, if this is true, then he's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So don't give me the stuff about how you're this innocent baby. Joe, they're calling you a corrupt politician.
Nobody's
President Trump, I want to stay on the issue of race. We're talking about the issue.
Laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President Trump,
I have to respond to that.
Please,
because look,
very quickly.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly what. Is this where you're exactly going? What
this is told. Where he's going. The laptop is Russia,
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You have to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia.
We're going to continue on the issue of.
I can understand why the moderator wanted to stay on the issue of race, because Trump was totally right, as it turns out. The laptop, real. New York Times has confirmed it. We already knew it was real. Biden wasn't lying about having U.S. intelligence behind him. Yes, 50 intelligence officials, headlining by James Clapper, John Brennan, etc., circulated a statement peddling Russian disinformation amid the initial discovery of Hunter's laptop, effectively helped bury the story in partnership with big tech. So, Rebecca, what do you think about all this? Because for me, that's the story, right? They were wrong, or they were lying, or they were doing kind of political spin. The story ended up being true. Now, maybe its implications for Joe Biden were oversold or overstated, but it was not Russian disinformation. And all those intelligence officials who said it was, and all those media figures who insisted it was and wanted you to not even read it, do they apologize? Do they admit that it's wrong? What's your take?
It's the same thing as Rena's in this case. I feel like, so what, right? Because back in September of 2020, Joe Biden was cleared of all these things. And also, we got to keep the same energy, right? When Trump did a lot of things that were very questionable, relationships with Russia, what he's doing with his kids, where the money was going, information that was left allegedly in Mar-a-Lago, top secret information that was just left out there, right? We got to keep that same energy. These Republicans weren't giving it that much. Democrats tried to push it. It was headlining and news and all these kind of things. But it wasn't making mainstream media. It would be like in the media for a week. Then it would be pushed on to Donald Trump not being able to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Like, it's things like this, right? So if this man was cleared in September 2020, and we're talking about Joe Biden, he's going around with this kid, right? His son, whatever his son does, it sucks. That it's going to be tied to him, but his personal situation, who he's dating, what's on that computer, things like that. This is not, to me, the biggest news when it comes to Russia and America at this particular moment. We got Brittany Griner, who is a basketball player for the WNBA, who is in the middle of a war zone in Russia, right? And I haven't heard any of these people speak her name or say, hey, let's push to get her out of there. They're worried about this right here, and this is very telling. It's ridiculous to me.
We can be concerned about multiple things. We don't have to be like monomaniacally. We can only have one story to talk about. I mean,
her family has asked people not to make a big stink of it and turn her into a martyr, because then if she becomes
it's not turning her into a martyr. Right. If we, it's just bringing light to where she is.
People
and
are
what's
asking her.
What I'm
people
saying.
are asking. People around her. Now, the news media is not doesn't have to take orders from people's families, but her family and people around her are saying, please do not bring light onto this. We do not want light on this.
I mean, the New York Post said they had evidence that they had obtained these emails that showed that the president's son had all these kind of foreign entanglements who were he was a dude. They were leveraging him to get to his father as part of an influence campaign. I don't think there's any evidence that campaign was successful, but it's not outrageous that we were going to look at it a little bit more, especially in the wake of all of these people being totally wrong when they said, no, this laptop doesn't even exist. This is Russian.
But it's been a minute since that news had came out, right? And here we are bringing it up, and there's so much other things to me that are really important. There are so many things that they've talked about with the last president that have been more telling, and people just threw it under the rug.
Well, we talk about those for ad nauseum. You cannot be claiming there is not enough coverage of Trump's scandals, right?
What I'm saying is there is, but who cares? This is what I'm telling you. It was the biggest things that were going into the media about it, and there was nothing that really came of it. And what I'm saying is there's more important things to cover. I will also say I feel like this is one of those things for Republicans to touch on so that they can justify, the fact that here it's a little sketchy that Joe Biden is still that one presidency. They want to bring that back again. They want to put everything out that they can to justify this. I actually look at it as they could have been holding on to dropping this news at some point, especially a year after Joe Biden's presidency, to show that he's still sketchy and for us to forget. Because I think even this is back in September 2020. We want to bring it about. I think us continuing to cover what happened on January 6th of 2021 is a little bit more. I think that's more something that we should be doing more, because it's those same people.
You cannot say we covered January 6th exhaustively. It's the most. CNN is the January 6th network.
We are still dealing with. I think that's more important than what's going on. Like I said, we got so many more things that we can be covering than, because everything that's going being said about this with his son. I think that it's everybody's saying, oh, it was a lie. There was a cover up. I mean.
It was a cover-up, and also he's still his son. Joe Biden is still the president. Hunter's out there selling these NFT art pieces. We got to know what this dude's up to.
Oh, Ryan, Melania is doing the same thing. She's trying to sell her NFT.
Well, I'm not done with Jared and Ivanka either.
I know he's not. You got to hold this guy back. All right, we really do have to go.
We do have to go.
We thank you both.
We'll pick this up again.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, we got to. We got to.
And we will definitely pick that up again. Next on Rising, Deputy Opinion Editor at Newsweek, Bayou Ungar Sargon, joins us. Stick around for that.